Hey there. If you're a dog owner here in Norman, you already know it's a great place to be. But it's got its own unique pace, its own energy, so this is all about helping you find the right dog trainer so you and your dog can really enjoy everything this town has to offer together.
Just imagine it for a second. You're walking down Main Street with a coffee, or you're near Campus Corner, and your dog is just calmly walking right beside you, totally relaxed, even with all the people and the traffic. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it?
So getting to that point, that easygoing reality, it does take a little bit of effort, and it really starts with finding the right kind of training and, of course, the right person to help you. That's what we're going to walk through today, step by step.
We're going to look at 5 main things. First, what makes training a dog in Norman a little different? Then, how to figure out what your dog actually needs. We'll look at the different training options out there, how to pick a great trainer, and finally, we'll cover some local rules and places to go.
All right, let's start with part 1, training for Norman life. This is really about getting your dog ready for the specific vibe of living in a busy college town.
You see, good training isn't just generic commands. It has to work in your real life. Your dog needs to be okay with the crowds near Campus Corner, behave nicely when you're just trying to grab a coffee, and not get totally overwhelmed by that citywide buzz on a game day. And, of course, you want to be able to enjoy the local parks without any stress. Okay, on to our second section, figuring out what your dog needs. Before you even start Googling trainers, it's super helpful to know exactly what you're trying to accomplish.
And the first thing to think about is just, how old is your dog? The goals for a little puppy who needs to learn about the world are totally different from an adult dog who has some habits you want to change, or even a senior dog who might need a slower pace.
And then get specific. What are the top 1 or 2 things that, if they were different, would make your life so much easier? Knowing that is going to help you find a trainer who's an expert in that exact area. And you'll see a lot of common goals on this list. So whether it's pulling on the leash, jumping on guests, or something more complicated like anxiety when you leave, you're definitely not the only one dealing with it. And the really good news is that these are all things you can work on with a good plan.
All right, let's move on to section 3, exploring your options. We're going to get into the actual methods, the different formats for training, and what you might expect it to cost. So, the method that most modern, certified trainers use is called positive reinforcement. It's a pretty simple idea. You reward the behavior you want to see more of. It works so well because you're teaching your dog what you want them to do, not just punishing what you don't want. It really helps build a great bond based on trust.
Generally, you'll have 2 main choices. In-home training is fantastic for problems that, happen at home, like going crazy when the doorbell rings. Then you have group classes, which are amazing for learning to focus and listen, even when there are other dogs and people around.
And of course, we gotta talk about cost. This chart gives you a rough idea of what to expect in the Norman area. Group classes are usually the most budget-friendly way to start, while things like a board and train program are a much bigger investment. And remember, a lot of trainers will offer a free consultation called a start. Okay, this brings us to a really important section, how to actually choose a trainer. You know what you need, so now how do you find the right person for the job?
Now, Oklahoma doesn't have a requirement for trainers to be licensed or anything, so looking for professional certifications is a really good way to see who's serious about their education. You'll see acronyms like CPDTKA. You don't have to memorize them. Just know that they mean the trainer has passed exams and committed to a code of ethics. And you should absolutely feel comfortable interviewing a few trainers. Ask them about their methods, ask about their credentials, and ask them how they'll make a plan that fits your life here in Norman. A good trainer is going to have really clear answers for all of this.
And finally, let's wrap it all up with our last section, Norman rules and resources. This is all about taking what you've learned and putting it into practice around town the right way. Being a great dog owner in Norman means knowing a few of the local rules. The city has a leash law for public spaces, and you're required to have a current rabies vaccine. You'll also need to get your dog licensed with the city, and just be mindful of excessive barking, especially if you live in a crowded neighborhood. So once you start training, where can you go to practice? Well, the dog parks at Andrews and Reeves are awesome for working on skills in a safe, fenced-in area. And if you want to practice your leash walking with some real-world distractions, the trails at Lake Thunderbird or Sutton Wilderness Park are just perfect.
So when it comes right down to it, putting in the time for training isn't just about fixing a problem. It's really about making your whole life with your dog better and being able to enjoy all the cool things about living in this city.
When your dog understands what you're asking and feels confident, everything just gets easier and more fun, from a simple walk down your street to just hanging out at a park with friends. We hope you find the perfect training partner to help you build that amazing, strong bond.